now we based everything on drawings, right? This is how we work everywhere. Like you are required drawings and documentation for everything, to get any permit, for insurance, for everything, right? So I'm thinking only regarding what is the next more efficient step from our status right now.
Historically, if you want to look at like big projects who have implemented digital flows and digitalization, if you want approaches, there's a typical kind of curve you see. Okay, we could say it holds true, but we're not sure. We don't have the data. But typically, you go from a 2D based flow, like based on drawings, and then as you digitally mature, you start using models, and you get 2D drawings out of models, and you do simulation and cost estimation, etc. out of models. I'm discussing like a reasonable size, buildings or facilities. And then over time, the percentage of modeling versus data exchange drops. So it starts with drawings, goes with modeling goes up, and then modeling drops, and then there's data exchanges more, but the documents stay the same. So there's kind of a trend, if you wish, depending on your digital maturity and whether we're discussing an integrated supply chain, etc. You will see these trends on how the percentage of information exchange by different representation types. So percentage as document, percentage as models, percentage as just data sets.
Yeah, I think before we get to this data flow between everything, because there you need mostly robots to do the work. I think as long as you will have people mostly involved in this, we need the 3D representation. Would be the most intuitive way to see and understand how we do things. Like to go purely to data. How if you work only with people, how do you make that understandable?
Yeah, there's certain things that people need to understand and parse. So and this is really actually an argument against what you said. If we are trying to simplify for people for the sake of people only, rather than for efficiency, then we are losing efficiency. Meaning, if something can be done with data only without models, let's do it. If things need people to parse and to simulate, and then we have to model for them. But this modeling for them is a modeling for them. It is a lack of efficiency. Okay, so sometimes modeling is an efficient approach, and sometimes when you mature as a process, okay, it's a lack of efficiency when you continuously model when something you can do without modeling. There's nothing absolute. Okay, there's nothing that say we have to all model everything. Not true.
That's interesting, and it's new. It's a new perspective. But like you said, I'm still thinking about this. We still don't have the means to execute just using the data. So yeah, not entirely at least.
Not entirely. And we shouldn't think of a process like it's a huge process. Okay. We every process has sub processes, and every activity has sub activities and tasks and etc. And this is part of the maturity process, process maturity, not just technological maturity. As we go forward with that, we'll be able to separate things that could be optimized without models, okay, and separate things that can only be optimized through models, okay, yeah. And the things that work beautifully through 2D documentation and should stay in 2D documentation, we'll be able to isolate them. The lack of maturity makes us jumble all these things together and think of it as a linear way. Like we have to go from 2D documents to models, and then after, people reach Venus and live on Venus and how, then we can go to that. No, it's not the case. We could separate certain things for different types of information flow.
Yeah, maybe this is a little bit more natural for people to understand, to view it this way. I don't think there are many people seeing the things how you see it, like thinking mostly on the biggest value, like going straight forward, burn the era you live in, like this struggle. Because I see this happening. Everybody tries this, to ditch drawings, to go this, but people just think to the closest the next closest objective, right? They don't think like to burn 10 steps and go straight in the future. For many reasons. There is no competency for that. There are not budgets for that, and many others, right?
And people also don't not outside people. I mean, some people don't think of the end result. They are too focused on the next step rather than. And this is based on our education, to be honest. Meaning, most of us have been educated in typical schools. We have a tendency to think that there's a proper way of doing things, okay, and there's this, we have to follow procedures and stand in line and sit in a certain way and ask in a certain way, rather than look at the end objective and try to find what is the best way, the most optimal way to reach that objective. So these things are beyond our digital transformation. It is more about our human behaviors. You see, if we went full circle, we started with behaviors, we're back to behaviors. Okay, we need to when we're discussing digital transformation, we need, at least this is what encourage people to do, to think of outputs and outcomes they're trying to achieve, and the next step to look at the process to achieve them, and the next step would be the technologies and tools needed for that process.
I think until we get educated to have this mindset is going to be very difficult to do it from a job perspective, from a job role. It's you won't do it. You just need to finish your tasks. You have tasks, right? You don't have time to think and apply it in your project. I think.
Well, some people do have time,
yeah.
And some people make time, and some people do incremental improvements. This is not about changing everything one does like in a disruptive way. This doesn't work, okay?
Yeah.
It's very rare to have something disruptive happens and changes the industry. This is like you need a very traumatic, something really big. Our better approach would be for incremental improvement, okay? Continuously improving our definition of our processes, allowing people to redefine them, okay? Help people to manage these processes in a better way through education and through tools like for manage information, and then slowly integrate these processes and optimize them. So there is a better way, which says if we cannot change everything, we should change something, and we do it in small steps, and every day and every week and every month we improve small things. And how do you do it? You can only do it when you know what your current process is. You know what you're doing, like you map what you're doing. You say, this is how I currently do my work. And you know what kind of output you want in the future. And then you modify your current process slowly, step by step. You change an activity here, you change a tool here, you remove a step here, you add a step there, whatever, until you improve your process to reach your goal. It's incremental.
Yeah, it's incremental if you know what you should go about. Like what you told me, it's new. I just found out now. I did not have this thought. I was not thinking this way. I was thinking just to the next action, next logical step, right? So I never heard this to anybody else. So how do you get more of this?
You do video casts like you did. So it's exactly what you're doing, correct? You are trying to discuss new ways of thinking, or at least, common practices, best practices in some cases, different thoughts, different people, making their thoughts exposed to others. Others will listen, they disagree, they agree, they could have other thoughts, but at least you are contributing to change, correct? By sharing knowledge.
I hope so.